Sabalenka's breakdown video goes viral. Out of pure rage, she breaks her racket and screams at staff. The moment the racket hit the ground, the stadium froze. What started off as a challenging match led to one of the most powerful emotional outbursts of her career. The players looked away. The audience let out a gasp. Workers didn't know if they should go forward or backward. Nobody could have predicted how forcefully and publicly she would reach her breaking point. Even for steel-billed champions, pressure has strange consequences. Every scream, every gesture, every second of her fury went viral online. Some called it passion. It was called impolite by some. But one thing became clear. This was not your normal breakdown of tennis. This incident exposed the raw side of a famous person who usually keeps her storms to herself. Aryna Sabalenka is a special kind of tennis player. She is a powerhouse and a force of nature, so her presence on the court demands attention. With every racket swing, she radiates dominance. Every time she serves, it sounds like a fight of wills, and each serve is as loud as a thunderclap. Early in her career, she showed that she was more than just a skilled tennis player. But in addition to her exceptional talent, she had a temperament as fierce as her game. For a long time, women's tennis analysts have seen a tendency. Strong wins, powerful emotions, and occasional emotional outbursts left fans feeling both astounded and uneasy. Sabalenka became well known very fast. She advanced up the ranks by pure strength and determination, defying expectations. Her supporters loved her unwavering enthusiasm, fearless demeanor, and determination to give up in the face of formidable opponents. Beneath the medals and prizes, though, was always a pressure cooker of emotions. Every Grand Slam final match carried the weight of expectations from coaches, supporters, the media, and even herself, in addition to the challenge of opponents. For a player with her level of skill, winning is not enough. The stakes are always higher, the margin of error is getting smaller, and the scrutiny is getting closer. This pressure shaped her character on the court in addition to influencing her victories. Sabalenka is well known for her intensity, not simply her physical vigor, but also the emotional ferocity that propels every move. An incident that made headlines could be triggered by a missed shot, a lost point, or a tight defeat. The rackets flying, the yells of rage, and the obvious stress were all visible to everyone. Some were concerned about these outbursts. They were seen by others as evidence of her passion and disobedience. Whether it was applauded or reviled, one thing was certain. When Sabalenka expressed her thoughts, the tennis community closely watched her. Over the years, Sabalenka has encountered situations that hinted at this deeper struggle. From early career tantrums to explosive mid-match outbursts in high-stakes games, she has demonstrated that her mind often weighs just as much as her body. These revelations about her emotional state paint a picture of a player who is struggling not just with opponents on the other side of the net, but also with internal expectations. Fans and commentators have debated whether this intensity is an indication of brilliance or vulnerability waiting to be exposed at the wrong moment. The planet is at its breaking point right now. A moment that attracted media attention for both the tennis result and the raw human drama of a world-class athlete under pressure. There were other instances of the viral collapse. It is the outcome of years of constant pressure, rivalry, and demands. This story describes both the game Sabalenka plays with herself and the game she plays with her rivals. The internal disputes that remain undetected until they become public. This is the moment when a champion's humanity is revealed, skill meets emotion, and power meets pressure. This battle between victory and anarchy is when the story of Sabalenka's viral meltdown truly begins. The stadium was packed, there were dazzling lights, and millions of people from all over the world were watching. Using skill, perseverance, and resolve in each match, Aryna Sabalenka had fought her way to the championship game. But nothing could have prepared her or anybody watching for the moment that would trigger one of the most talked-about occurrences of the season. As the game went on, the tension grew with each rally. Each player fought more deftly, put in more effort, and refused to give up. The score was close, and every point was a battleground. Sabalenka's characteristic power was on full display as her serves hit the corners precisely and her forehands smashed like thunder. But for every big punch, there were tiny cracks, brief moments of irritation, tightened fists, clenched teeth, and narrowed eyes. The trophy was in danger, but so were her legacy, reputation, and the weight of expectations she carried. Then it happened. As the game neared its climax, The last moments were a whirlwind of fervor and intensity. Sabalenka fought bravely, never giving up or retreating. But when the crucial point went against her, something inside of her snapped. She swiftly picked up her racket and struck the ground with such force that the sound echoed throughout the stadium, causing the onlookers to gasp. Tension, frustration, and strain all exploded in that one explosive deed. It was not just a racket smash. The signal and the pure expression of passion shocked everyone. For a time, coaches, authorities, and bystanders were unsure on how to react. Her anger, disbelief, and inner turmoil were all captured on tape. Workers instinctively retreated as they felt the overwhelming intensity of the emotion. For Sabalenka, it was a release, but for the world watching, it was a moment of amazement and wonder. Even after the outburst, the drama persisted. Subtle aspects of Sabalenka's reaction continued, such as a furious scream, tense movements, and a clear attempt to gather herself. Clearly, this was not a single act of fury. It was the external expression of a larger storm. Years of internal pressure, competition, and expectations culminated in this precise, unforgettable moment. In the post-match interview, Sabalenka made an effort to explain, revealing the human side of the collapse. She discussed how she had to deal with the loss, let go of her emotions, and prepare to speak civilly in front of supporters and the media. Her comments hinted at a more serious struggle, the constant challenge of finding a balance between the fire that drives her and the composure needed to win. But the world was watching them closely, and not everyone was sympathetic. Social media erupted in a matter of minutes, with fans debating whether this was the result of passion or a lack of control. Commentators examined every gesture, every expression on the face, and every racket slam. Even while some people could see how serious the situation was, others questioned whether a professional athlete at the top of her game should express her displeasure so blatantly. This was the spark that ignited the viral storm, the trigger. Meltdowns had ceased for Sabalenka. When Sabalenka's meltdown went viral, the tennis world exploded. Within minutes, videos of the breaking racket and her cries were posted on social media by fans, analysts, and casual viewers. With every replay, the intensity rose. From every angle, it was clear how deeply she felt. On every platform, conversations started. Was this the unstoppable champion breaking under pressure, or was it an unprofessional outburst that went too far? There was disagreement among supporters. Some vehemently defended her, saying that this is what makes Sabalenka a formidable rival whose dominance is driven by her zeal. They praised her drive and remarked that her evident irritation is a sign of her commitment rather than a weakness. Others condemned the actions, claiming that smashing a racket and yelling at staff members showed a lack of self-control that no professional player should display, especially on such a large stage. Memes, contentious viewpoints, and a heated thread emerged overnight, turning the breakdown into a hotly debated subject. A further alarming incident then escalated the discussion. In a high-stakes match at a later tournament, Sabalenka's frustration flared up again. This time, she threw her racket hard during a trying period, and it rebounded perilously close to a ball boy. What had previously been an emotional release now carried a genuine risk for the first time. Broadcasters immediately cautioned about the danger and suggested caution. The audience gasped as media criticism intensified. Supporters debated if this could have gone horribly wrong. Was she crossing a line that should never be crossed in spite of the extreme strain? Every viewpoint, frame, and replay intensified the argument. Analysts studied her tight posture, clenched fists, and fierce stare. They discussed how pressure might cause a champion's focus to become unstable and questioned whether frequent emotional outbursts could affect her profession or possibly her own and others' safety. In the court of public opinion, Sabalenka, a player whose talent and instability coexisted, came to symbolize both amazing might and unpredictable danger. There were other people who reacted besides fans. Other players and former champions shared their thoughts. Some acknowledged the severe stress that professional athletes endure, especially when victory eludes them, and offered empathy. Others were more critical, emphasizing that emotional control is a necessary component of becoming a great professional. With every tweet, post, and analysis piece adding gasoline to the fire, the event had become more than just a personal nuisance for Sabalenka. The public may now witness it as a spectacle. Every picture, outburst, and reaction is magnified because the story is also seen by mainstream media. Headlines emphasized the intensity, potential risks, and ongoing dispute. Is this a role model who is losing their temper or an athlete who has been overextended? Throughout it all, Sabalenka, a superstar whose ability, passion, and humanity were now equally scrutinized, remained the focus of attention. There are two results to the escalation. It displayed both the fierceness of the champion's spirit and the vulnerability hidden beneath her mask. After one viral moment, a match turned into a global conversation on pressure, passion, and professionalism in sports. As the globe reacted, the stakes had shifted. The consequences of Sabalenka's breakdown were swift and devastating. Social media was ablaze for days, examining every detail of the incident. Fans and commentators participated in heated debate as each replay was examined for hidden meaning. Sabalenka was already experiencing the consequences of that viral moment, and the conversation had shifted from the game itself to the player's conduct. Every perspective was criticized. Some questioned the professionalism of a top-ranked player, especially in front of crowded stadiums and millions of viewers on the internet, making their displeasure quite evident. Critics claimed that the racket-breaking and yelling at staff members went beyond rage to the point of recklessness. Opinions were divided even within the tennis community, with coaches and former players arguing about whether emotional outbursts under duress are typical or if they point to more severe issues that could endanger her career. Her followers, many of whom supported her by highlighting the high emotional demands of competing at the top level and the ongoing stress of elite tennis, also showed strong feelings. "She's human," they remarked. "She is allowed to express her annoyance." Some, meanwhile, weren't that sympathetic. Her acts were criticized by trending hashtags, which described them as dangerous and unprofessional. Every online survey, tweet, and comment section seemed to show a widening gap between those who expressed sympathy and those who expressed criticism. The media attention stoked the fire. Headlines depicted the incident as a scandal that went beyond the court, emphasizing both the spectacle and the potential risks associated with emotional instability. Analysts questioned whether Sabalenka's fame shielded her from more severe penalties. They wondered if a lesser-known player would be treated the same way, or if this was an example of celebrity treatment. The story featured multiple players. It was about accountability, celebrity privilege, and the demanding world of professional sports. Even among her own acquaintances, the reaction was clear. Coaches, players, and tournament officials had to carefully balance supporting a player they believed in with addressing the valid concerns about safety and sportsmanship. Sabalenka faced two distinct realities. Although she was commended for her bravery, strength, and perseverance, she was reprimanded for losing control in a way that suggested she was unstable. In a broader sense, what level of emotion is appropriate in professional tennis? Was the focal point of the discussion. Sabalenka's collapse forced the world to consider the thin line between danger and desire. It spurred conversations about mental health, stress management, and the unreasonable expectations placed on athletes to remain composed under pressure. The response also included a personal element. The outburst included other instances that became viral. It proved to be a turning point in Aryna Sabalenka's life. The consequences for her career, reputation, and legacy were examined by tennis fans, pundits, and other players. Some saw it as a horrifying display of volatility, while others saw it as the raw truth of a champion pushed to her limit. Regardless, the event cemented Sabalenka's reputation as a powerful player and a complex individual with equal parts strength and weakness. For Sabalenka, skill and emotion are now intertwined in her legacy. Although the world had witnessed a fragility that few had ever seen, her strength, agility, and competitive spirit remain unquestionable. Because of this vulnerability, which also makes her approachable, her story is compelling. It serves as a reminder that, even at the highest levels of sport, pressure, scrutiny, and internal disputes never truly go away. Because of her breakdown, everyone had to acknowledge that champions are human, capable of brilliance but also susceptible to severe mental hardship. Beneath the criticism and viral videos, though, is a story of resiliency. Sabalenka demonstrates growth and self-awareness by being able to acknowledge her mistakes, apologize, and reflect on her actions. These periods of introspection are crucial for any athlete expecting to remain at the top for an extended period of time. By confronting her own emotional boundaries in public, she turns a potentially dangerous situation into a lesson in self-control, perseverance, and personal accountability. The question now is not just whether she can control her outbursts, but also